Welcome to 1991. This is a big transition year for the PC Engine. The system found its feet in 1990, but now it had proper competition in the form of the Super Famicom. The Mega Drive and other Japanese consoles released in the past 3 years hadn't been able to get any traction, but the Super Famicom hits like a bomb, and that means that 1991 is the last year where HuCards are really a viable format. 1991 is the year that the CD really starts gearing up, and there's going to be a pretty big transition at the end of the year where things almost flip like a switch, going from primarily HuCards with occasional CDs to almost all CD games with very rare HuCard releases. A big part of that will be 1991's hardware refresh for the PC Engine, but I'll dig into that once I reach September of 1991. And I'm kicking off this transitional year with a shoot-'em-up. Of course it's a shoot-'em-up. It wouldn't be the PC Engine if it wasn't a shoot-'em-up. Override is a joint between Sting and Data East. We haven't really seen anything great from Sting yet, while Data East's record on the PC Engine has been spotty. They've published a classic game and a few not-so-classic. So how did Override turn out? Well, it's better than you might expect. One of the keys to that is that Sting hired Hiromichi Sueyoshi to design the game. Sueyoshi came to the company from Compile, and at Compile he worked on the Aleste series, designed Xevious Vardrot Saga, and Gunhead, also known as Blazing Lasers. So the designer of two of the best shoot-'em-ups on the PC Engine, and had creative input on their influential predecessor. The story of Override is standard shooter plot number 2. There's a computer, it's gone crazy, you have to destroy it. There are no cutscenes here, not even a proper ending. However, if you really want that story expanded on, later in 1991, Sting would re-release Override as Last Battalion on the Sharp X68000 computer, and one of the many changes there is a much more full-featured story. Override consists of 6 vertically scrolling stages, and then if you complete the game, it loops. Button 2 fires your gun, and it has a built-in auto-fire feature. Button 1 changes your speed, rotating between 3 different levels. I found 2 to be the most useful, but even 2 feels a little bit on the fast side. While you're watching this footage, I'm going to have to address the elephant in the room. Override is not a shoot-'em-up for newcomers. It is an overwhelming, crush you as hard as it can kind of shoot-'em-up. And it doesn't do this by anything that's really unfair by the standards of the genre. They're just throwing mountains of enemies at you, many of which are also firing mountains of bullets. The bosses are actually the easy part of the game because they usually only have a couple of attacks. It's not too difficult to figure out the safe places to deal with them. Override is such an overwhelming shooter that they gave you both lives and a shield system. You can take 4 hits before you're shot down, but those shields can vanish fast in some of the denser areas of the game. Now, it's not all wanton cruelty. To help you deal with things, Override throws an absurd number of power-ups at you. Power-ups are released from certain capsule enemies, and it's rare that the game will scroll more than a screen length before one appears. Despite their quantity, only 3 items come out of these. The rarest and simplest to explain is the E. It restores 1 point of your shield. The P capsules are power-ups for your main gun. As it levels up, it'll fire more shots and spread a little bit, but it's not a huge part of your attack. It's going to be leveled up 4 times before you're at maximum power. The other item that drops is a plate that will rotate through 5 colors, and these are your weapon options. Collecting the plate for the first time will add 2 pods around your ship, and the color that you collect will determine what they do. There's 5 different colors: red, yellow, green, purple, blue, and 3 levels of firepower for each of those. One convenient aspect to this power-up is that whatever color you collect increases that weapon's firepower by 1 step, and that weapon doesn't lose its power if you switch to something else. So if you collect 2 green power-ups, and then grab a red one, if you collect the green one again, it'll be at power level 3. The red power-ups are for blazing fire, and they make the pods shoot diagonally forward in front of your ship. At maximum power, a homing effect is applied to these shots. The yellow power-up makes the pods fire in the opposite direction to how you're moving. As it levels up, these shots become larger. The green power-up makes the pods orbit around your ship and fire a wave in front of you. The blue weapon makes the pods trail behind your ship and fire a laser forward. As it powers up, the lasers become stronger, and they tend to fire through things. Finally, the purple weapon attaches the pods to the side of your ship, and they fire their bullets straight out. Now, I think that the blue weapon is the most effective of those, but all of them have their uses, especially on later stages where the terrain starts becoming more troublesome. So it helps on early stages to switch your weapon around a lot, so that when you need a particular weapon at a spot, it's already powered up when you switch. When you get destroyed, you lose all of your power-ups. Everything goes back to the base level. And that can mean cascading failures for you. If you're in the middle of an enemy swarm and have lost all your firepower, then you're going to be in real trouble. But there are enough power-ups that are getting dropped that it's not impossible to recover from a death. There's one more useful technique for you, and that's if you stop firing for a few seconds, then a charge will build up on your ship, and hitting fire when you're blinking will cause you to shoot a massive explosive burst out in front of you. This is a very effective shot pretty much everywhere. The one problem with it, however, is that you often need to use your shots to get rid of things that are coming at you. The windows for charging up that super attack are pretty rare. If you lose all of your lives, you have 5 continues, but you go back to the start of the stage when you use one. Of course, if that happens, you might be better off just restarting the whole thing and building up your power again from there. Among Japanese PC Engine fans, Override is a bit obscure, but it seems to have earned its fans in the shooter community. I found plenty of people who said they hadn't heard of the game when they were kids, but wound up loving it later on. My own feeling on Override is that it's a pretty good shoot 'em up with a couple of caveats. Like I said, I don't think that this is the most approachable game on the system. It feels like this was designed for people who are already hardcore shooter fans, and trying to deliver on what they'd want. It has a bit of a weird balance to it, where the levels are more memorable than the bosses, and I feel like at 6 stages it's a bit short. It really feels like Override needed a little bit more polish. Maybe make the weapons a little bit more distinctive, give the bosses a bit more flair, maybe change the bomb technique so it's a consumable instead of a charge move. I think Override's a pretty neat game. It's just not the first shooter on the PC Engine I'd recommend to people.